Magic TV, and tonight we have, on a random chance encounter at a swap meet, because this gentleman followed a guy that I'm friends with on the internet, we have Justin Ishmael with us. Yeah, Justin is a artist. He's brought me these beautiful Scott Pilgrim toys that he was a part of creating, which rules really hard. I believe it's a Ramona and a Scott, so I have the full set now.
Couldn't just bring you one.
Yeah,
you
just bring the Ramona. It's like, wait, hold on, where's the Scott Pilgrim at?
Yeah.
Well, Justin, you're not from Kansas City originally, or you are?
Yeah, I was born here in Kansas City, Kansas, Bonner, Kansas City, Kansas. Then we moved to Bonner Springs.
Okay,
what out by Sandstone?
That's where I'm from, dude.
Yeah, Bonner Springs.
Yeah,
that's cool.
My parents still live right by this last house in Bonner, technical Bonner.
That's what we were. We didn't live in the actual city. You know what I mean? We lived out on. There's a highway called K32.
Yeah,
and we lived basically I went to Baser Linwood, but we went to Linwood Elementary. We lived really close to Linwood. It almost seemed like we should have lived in Linwood.
Lived up behind the high school?
No, we lived out quite a ways.
You lived on the way to DeSoto, Kansas.
Yeah,
that part down towards Old 32.
Well, if you're driving towards Lawrence.
Yeah.
You would take 32 to get to Lawrence, you'll pass where our street and stuff.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. You go past the Bonner High School and all that to get down there.
We go way past Bonner.
Yeah.
So we had a gravel road and that kind of thing.
What? How old are you?
39.
Justin? Dude, we're the same age.
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
Could you believe?
No.
Do you know? Oh man, we have to talk about this later. But there's a lot of baser. My grandparents, where the high school is.
Yeah.
My grandpa owned McDowell Kennels. It's on the right up behind the high school out there.
Yeah.
But my buddy Brandon Barry, he was a baser guy.
Nice.
I knew a lot of punk rock people from Baser.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you know Scott Allen?
Yes, I know Scott Allen.
It's so funny because I met someone here and she was naming off people.
Yeah,
he always comes up when you talk about that.
Tyler Jump.
Yeah. What's his Tyler Jump for sure? Sarah.
Yeah,
his sister. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. When
totally.
Sam. What the hell is Sam's last name?
Very tall.
Yes,
we
tall.
played on the same basketball team.
Okay. Yeah.
we were both center. Yeah.
Dude, what a small world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild because I'll be 40 in a couple weeks.
What was the other really tall one? Travis. I can't remember his last. We were really good friends. I can't remember his last name. I'm blanking.
We historically got arrested for vandalizing your guys' football field, and we just drew the biggest penis.
Yeah.
Because we didn't like football.
Mm-hmm.
I was too punk, so punk.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it when I was me and my buddies, the only three punks at Bonner Springs High School.
Yeah.
And I remember some kids from your school, probably the football team, came to our school during school hours.
Yeah.
And they put Vaseline on everybody's door handles and then messed with all of our cars, and we're like, yo, what did we do to you guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we went for revenge one night, and
that's so funny because I remember the coach brought us out to the field.
Yeah.
And was like, I want to show you what Bonner did you guys. I think we ended up getting beat that night too. I played football. I was I went to college and played in college and
dude, that's wild.
So,
I just remember
I was that's the thing though. Is I was never super jockey. Or,
who would have that much
my friend base was it was weird because I could hang out with anybody.
Right.
The guys that you're talking about.
Right.
Because they had that thing called fifth quarter.
Right.
After the football games, it was a music. It was a safe space.
Yeah. Because we would all go to that thing too, even though we were from Bonner. It was like that at that church on Parallel.
Yeah. So that was always that, but we'd always just go and watch movies and stuff. We were never big partiers or whatever. And I listened to rap and I it's just none of it really on paper made any sense. But it was comic books and movies and listen to this and this and this. So yeah, I was never I had a Letterman jacket, but it wasn't my identity.
Right. You weren't a jock.
Well, I mean, if my identity was anything, it was wrestling.
Right.
In high school, I loved pro wrestling. I still do. And then comic books and that kind of sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, same, dude.
So
music, funny. Comics. cars, and that's where like our group of people, like beyond that scene of like that was like the music scene, right? Like knowing all those guys.
Yeah.
But then there was this whole other world where like all the kids at school that liked cars, it didn't matter what you were beyond that. Like we were just the car people. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how we all kind of stuck together.
That's cool.
So when you graduated, you went to college.
Yeah. I went to Central Missouri State in Warrensburg.
Okay.
Yeah. I got a scholarship to go to do that. I was there for a couple years, and then was like, this isn't like, I'm not gonna go pro.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, it's like a lot of work. College football is like a ton of work. Like,
right.
You're like doing it. It's like a real job. Like,
right.
You're nonstop lifting weights or training or film and studying, which I always thought like film was really boring because you're watching yourself over and over, and like it's just like it's not like fun. I'd always fall asleep in the meetings because you're in the dark and you're like tired, and so you're kind of like nodding off and stuff. So yeah, I did that, and then went to KU for a year, and then basically started. I went to KU for their film program, and then one day I was going into class, and there was like an ad for, they were shooting like a Western, like a Jesse James documentary for PBS in Leavenworth. Cool. Yeah. There's like a Western town there where I don't know if it's still the same way, but like their claim to fame was you could shoot 360 and there were no modern things. You couldn't see like, power lines or anything. Yeah. So, I don't think that place is still there, but I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. So we went out there and did that. And that was my first, like, it was supposed to be an unpaid PA spot. And I talked him into paying me, and then I literally just stopped going to college because I'm like, oh, I'm working in the industry and doing this stuff now. Yeah. And everyone else is going to college, this is kind of the main goal, is to get into these spots. And so I was just on my phone, and they're like, class is starting, and then they're like, okay, we'll pay you this. And I'm like, bye. And I just left that, and I never went back. So yeah. So I didn't do the PA, or not in PA, but like the production work stuff that horribly long. But yeah, I don't know too many. I know a few people that started out doing all that stuff and then very quickly realized like, oh, this is not what I want to do. It's no. I mean, it was kind of. I think if I was in a different position, like I think I'd be like really good at producing and behind. I mean, obviously behind camera. Right. Like I'm not gonna be acting. I'm so anxious and nervous about things. But yeah, it was just not like. I'd rather like know people that work on them and watch them and appreciate them and support them versus actually like hands-on working on them, probably. Yeah. I wanted to go to film school originally. I was like a huge, like everything was movies when I was a kid. Yeah. And then sort of got that dream sort of got shattered in front of my eyes, like due to like financial reasons. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then backup plan was I was always working on cars. So it started, and then I just went down this path of like, oh, I'm going to be a custom car builder. Yeah. And then I just did that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. I was like, and now here we are, like, I'm on the cusp of 40, and I decide, I think I'd like to revisit that other idea I had. Like, that's cool. So, but it's been cool. It's also like now it's at a time where you can do these things and not, like that's a 6K cinema camera. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I could have never, when red cameras came out, they cost more than a Honda Civic. In high school, it was the XL1. Yeah. And we got to rent those out and take them and do stuff in high school. And that was huge. And that still wasn't like, I remember we were always frustrated because it didn't look movie. It's just like you can never get that. You can never quite get it, right? Yeah, I mean, you could do some stuff and you had different lenses you could put on it and that kind of thing, but it was never. But now it's like you could do it on your iPhone and make it look really good. Yeah, make it look like a full-blown cinema feature. I mean, I don't know what it is, but there have been like full movies shot on on iPhone. Yeah, and that was a buddy of mine. He's in the industry, and he's like, you should get one of these cameras. So I made a car deal, flipped a car. Oh, crazy. Got the camera, but then it comes with like the software the editing software. So it's like, now it's like this whole thing of like, well, how do you use this? And it's like, I've noticed that most photographers, I've asked them like, well, how do I edit photos better? And they go, well, you just turn the knobs until it looks how you want it. And I'm like, that's it? And that so far I've determined that's about it. Like messing around and then YouTube. Yeah. Probably the best way to learn. Yeah. Even the YouTube videos, they all kind of go back to being the centered part of like, you just turn the knob till you like what way it looks. Yeah.
I guess we'll just turn knobs, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
I'm just so used to mechanical things where it's
For
like,
sure.
oh, if I'm going to weld this metal, I need to have this size gap and,
Right.
you know, it needs to be clean and I can weld it up.
Yeah.
So what led you into the art thing that you do now?
Um.
I guess after so you're doing film stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I really think it was like being in the right place, right time. I was in Lawrence, and actually it was at the drive-in that I met you at
Yeah.
the Boulevard Drive-in. I was like looking at like I would go to like to watch movies, and I especially loved like movies that were like repertory screenings of things like older movies or whatever,
Right.
especially in Kansas City because that didn't happen, and when it did, it was like, oh wow, this is crazy. So they had a triple feature, and it was like Ultraman, and then Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. But it was like this guy, his name is Gary, in town collected film.
Creepy Gary. Is that the guy?
I don't know if
Did he have
name,
a Horrorwood Babylon or something like that?
maybe.
I think I know.
Was he bald?
Yes.
It might have been him. Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
that's the same guy.
Yeah.
Because he had like a whole, like he was way into monster movies.
Yeah.
And
He'd like
his
screen
whole
them at like
jive.
Screenland and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a show. It was called Freak Show at Screenland, and so part of that was like I went to this show and I went out to lunch with him, and he was like, "Oh, I collect films," and Grindhouse had just came out, and Tarantino would like the RZA did stuff for it, and the RZA was like, you know, oh, on Kill Bill, Quentin wanted me to come over and he was going to show me some stuff, and I thought it was going to be on DVD, and he had like a theater in his house, and he had the actual film prints. And for some reason, I thought that was like so cool, which it is. I still think it's very cool, and so I wanted to start collecting. And there was a forum that I got on, and then met a bunch of people all throughout the world that were like film collectors, and then started putting Craigslist ads. And that's all like what I would do for most of the day. I would be like rewriting and rewriting so they wouldn't flag it. Like, I'm looking for 35 millimeter film ads all throughout the country. And then we got a call one day from this place in Arkansas. The guy's like, I bought a warehouse, and there's like 20 pallets of films. They're just everywhere. I need to get them out of here. And they had been trying to like burn the film off to make clocks out of the reels and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, that's so crazy. It's like very dangerous. I mean, like,
yeah,
like a certain era of film, which he actually had. It's called nitrate. He had nitrate films.
It's like highly flammable.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's its own fuel source. It doesn't.
Aren't there
burning.
a bunch of movies that don't exist because they burnt up?
Probably.
Like, yeah.
But so, anyways, we got those, and the idea was like we're gonna watch these. So we had like we were in a basement, and we got a naval film projector that was on wheels, and we would like screen these movies for enjoyment, but to also inspect them and then grade them, and we would sell them. And so that's how we lived for a long time, was selling movies to people on this forum.
Whoa.
And then we sold like it had to be like 30 or 40 movies at one shot to this guy in New Zealand. And I was just, he paid us, but he didn't pay for shipping. He's like, I'm going to figure out shipping. And we're just like looking at like, oh, if you're sending it domestically, it's like really expensive. So you're sending it to New Zealand, like, because a film could weigh like 40 or 50 pounds, depending on how long it is. And if you bought like 50 of these or however many, it's like, this is going to be so expensive. How are we going to have to put these on a pallet? How are we going to get them there?
Put them in a container.
Right. And so he was like, oh, I'm going to ship him to Austin. And so, I was just kind of like, oh, are you talking about this theater in Austin? And so, yeah, through all of that, I made friends. I ended up moving to Austin because of all this. I made friends with these people at this theater, and at the theater, Alamo Drafthouse, they had this company called Mondo, and I ended up kind of over the years, I took that over, and it was very much like a small thing. And through that, kind of just being like a collector, really. Like, I didn't go to school for business, and I didn't go to school for a lot of things. It was just, I liked this stuff and thought I could do something with it. So yeah, we turned it into this. I mean, like, Funko bought it recently, like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
That's how I know it.
Yeah.
That's how I knew the name, because we were talking before. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I really kind of like made in a way like made a job for myself, and then after that I left and started Ish. That's like the company now that like made the Scott Pilgrim figures and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But like, I'm so like just passion based, and I will see something or think like, and especially like being a collector, I kind of like know the market and know what's available at Walmart or Target or whatever, even specialty stuff.
Right.
And so I can either do or not do depending on what's available at the time. So
Right.
yeah, it's a lot of like from like gut feeling of like, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna do this. So
Yeah, because it's not just figures that you make either, right?
no,
Like
no,
you
I
do.
mean, I really love to do different collectible types, or one of my favorite things is actually put on shows, but I haven't done that here yet. Like in Austin, I did that a lot. Like we did this thing called the mystery movie, where we would usually we would do it at a destination. We wouldn't do it just in a theater. My favorite all time of thing I've ever done probably is we on Halloween. Um, we did this. It was like 700 people. We sold 700 tickets, and part of the ticket is like you spend $75 or something like that, and you get a poster, and then you get admittance to the mystery movie. And we were going to show the original Dawn of the Dead, like the '70s Dawn of the Dead,
Right.
and we rented a mall out, and then got 200. We made up a fake movie and put out a casting call for zombies. And so we got 200 people to come in, and then we actually like hired real special effects artists. We rented out it was like a Forever 21 that had went out of business. We rented out a whole storefront and made the windows where you couldn't see in, and that was our zombie factory that we made all the zombies in this
Whoa.
mall. And then we kind of part of it too is like thinking, all right, well, if you have to give people some information. You can't just, you have to, where is the event, and if you tell them it's at a mall on Halloween, and it's this, we're going to be showing a spooky movie, like people are going to guess it's Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
So we rented out a church as well, and then had everyone meet at a church to throw them off, thinking, oh, it's going to be Exorcist, or it's going to be
Right.
something else
Right,
other than
right,
this.
right.
And so we um got buses and a police motorcade that drove everyone in. And then when you go into the parking lot of the mall, we had zombies in the parking lot, and we made like fake bodies that the buses had to drive over and to give that bounce. And we had like a SWAT team a la the movie that escorted you in. And at the time it wasn't as crazy, but like we had real like blanks and various zombies rigged up with squib packs, so when they got shot they'd like blow off of them and stuff.
Right.
So people are
Oh
like
my God, dude.
running in. It's all on YouTube. Like, there's like a video if you look it up. But yeah, so everyone gets inside and we have a screen, and we got George Romero to come, and he came and did the intro to the movie. And yeah, so it's this hugely elaborate like event. Like it was like, hundreds of people to put it on. And
Right, well, yeah.
with all the with all the like the zombie cast people and things like that.
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, we had catering, and it was just like all just to show Dawn of the Dead at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
at the end of the day, just to show Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We did
dude.
one in L.A. with Die Hard, and Reginald Vell Johnson came.
Oh my God.
And then we so no one knew what it was, and you come to the theater and you open the doors, and we had covered the entire theater floor. So part of the deal was you had to take your shoes off to go in the theater because it's an old theater, we said. But then there's glass all over the ground, like Die Hard. And you have to walk across the glass to get to your seat and stuff.
Shit.
It was so much fun. It was really great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you show that at Christmas time?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually rented a limo and then had a giant bear in it. So the VIP people got to go in the limo, and then we drove them down. You can see Nakatomi Tower from the theater. We did it. So they drove down to Nakatomi Tower and did a loop
around. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that is awesome. Yeah, that's incredible. That's my favorite thing is like Christmas movies that aren't Christmas movies. Like when it comes like reindeer games.
Yeah. Like Gremlins is one, right? Like yeah, Christmas time.
Home Alone is like not really a Christmas movie, but it's a Christmas movie.
Right.
That's the best.
Feels like film, like people like to be cute about that stuff. Like, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Die Hard. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we know. Yeah, 15 years later, it's still the same joke. We get it.
Yeah, we get it. There's even like better examples of it where it's like you watch a movie and you forget like, oh yeah, it's like Christmas time in this movie. Like it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like Four Brothers.
Oh, really?
Like
Is it
that's
Christmas
like
time?
starts at like Thanksgiving and I think it cusps on Christmas. You
That's
know what I
funny.
mean? Like
Yeah.
great. That's a great movie though. Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I still love movies, dude. The pandemic kind of messed up going to the theater for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have the same. Then I had a heart attack a couple years ago, and I became a vegan afterwards.
Oh, wow.
So it's like hard to go to the theater, and like I really want to see that Killers of the Flower Moon, but then it's like, man, I'm pretty sure I'd fall asleep in a 3.5 hour long movie.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So we'll see. There's this movie called The Bike Riders coming out soon. That's
I've heard
about
of
the
that one.
outlaws.
Hmm.
So I have this book. I just randomly at Half Price Books. It's like this photography book, and it's all of like the Outlaws Motorcycle Club in Detroit in the 60s. And this lady, her dad was in the club, and he was like an aspiring photographer, I guess. And like he took all these photos. Years later, she finds the photos, publishes this book. So they made this movie based off of this.
Oh, wow. That's
This
cool.
guy's photography.
Yeah.
So it's a cool, and I just happened to find this. It's a weird book. They didn't make a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it was like signed by the author.
That's
And it was
really
at
cool.
Half Price Books in Westport. It's like
Yeah.
the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
So I bought it. And now I'm like, oh,
I love
yet
that.
again,
Love Half Price Books.
like we were talking, like if you stop chasing money when you're buying collectibles and just buy the things that you think are cool,
Yeah.
then generally that will be the thing where it's like, oh, well, shit, I didn't know this is a highly collectible item.
Yeah.
Now. That's pretty cool.
With the internet and everything and scanning and whatever, like it's really hard to catch someone now. Where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you missed that one. Like it still happens and it's fun, but like
Yeah.
it's getting rarer and rarer.
Yeah. And that was just a weird thing because that's a weird subculture too, like the Outlaw Motorcycle Club deal, you know. I'm still on the hunt. Like one day I'm gonna find some like Frazetta drawing or something,
Like a real one.
yeah, like a real one somewhere.
Yeah.
I know it will happen.
Yeah.
And
Do you ever go on heritage auctions?
I've never been on there. No.
You should go and just like look around. I try to buy as much as I can off of there, but it's like original art. It's crazy, but they just auctioned off. Gosh, what was it? The Molly Hatchet
Painting.
painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a Death Dealer. I don't know. I don't think it was the Death Dealer, but they've started to sell some of his bigger paintings on there.
Yeah, because I know
And they're like millions now. It's really impressive. Like,
Yeah,
I think he has
'cause
the
it's-
record for like the highest.
because you did the Death
modern
Dealer
art.
poster
Right.
with
Yeah.
which is like that's the Frazetta Girls, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
that's like his granddaughter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's done a great job of like
Yeah.
bringing his art back to surface. Dude, there's like a Death Dealer van that showed up that
Oh,
somebody
cool.
bought recently,
Nice.
where somebody had airbrushed Frazetta art on it, you know. So that's
so
been
neat.
cool. My favorite van it's like resurfaced was this Dodge, and it was called Vanzig. And it had Danzig, How the Gods Kill, Danzig 3 art all
Oh,
around the whole
wow. That's
thing.
cool.
And like had all these like it had the skull, like tail lights were molded, and they were the fucking Danzig skull.
Yeah.
It was for sale a few months ago for like $9,000.
Oh, that doesn't
And
seem
like
crazy.
it wasn't crazy at all. But you know, the vans are starting to get crazy. Where I saw one the other day, it was like $50,000. I'm like, okay, guys, we're getting a little
Like Sprinter van, like level of like.
beyond
Yeah,
like
yeah,
these
yeah.
like people are finding like that van, like someone will find that van off that puzzle box in a barn and clean it up and be like, oh, this is an original Survivor with all the interior.
Have you
know.
seen like a modern Sprinter van painted like a
Yes.
vintage?
There's
like,
a couple
van?
of them that they've put like not the super tall ones,
Yeah.
but the step down, and they'll put like a bubble window in it and
Does it look
do it
cool?
up. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people will hate on it. I think
didn't know
it's
if it
cool.
was like sacrilegious or blasphemous to do
Tony
that.
Hawk's son, Riley Hawk, he had like a Scion XB that got kind of done up like a boogie van back in the day when that XB had first come out.
Yeah.
I always thought was a bitchin' car.
Yeah.
I'm not really like
I always like that and like the Element, the Honda Element, those like
yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
Those are cool.
Oh, I still like the XB. I'm not a when it comes to cars, I'm not like a supremacist where there's like people that are like it must be a traditional hot rod or whatever. Like I'm down with whatever. Like I had a '01 Econoline and I put a bubble window in it and it had a spoiler and a visor on it. And had I kept it, I was like working with my friend because we always bought and sold vintage shit. Like I was gonna turn it into like a mobile store. You know what I mean? So to like not even like go to the swap meet, but just be like, I'm gonna be in the parking lot of Price Chopper, or I'll be at the Sunfresh in Westport for the next 5 hours. Pull up and buy something.
That's
know,
so fun.
Yeah, I like doing shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, same thing. Like like when you're, I'll put on like car shows or like I do this cars and coffee thing. But even like the show I did, like it's not like I'm kind of about my culture. So like any car stuff I do, it's just to like make a meeting place to like bring all these people together and not like, because I'll go anywhere. I'll go to a lowrider show. I'll go to a whatever.
World of Wheels.
Oh yeah, I just put a video out. I'll show it to you after this is over.
I'd always go because Mick Foley would do signings there.
Yeah,
and that's why I'd go to World of Wheels is to meet him.
The car club I was in, the Punk Rods, we put on Greaserama, which was like a huge show that we would do at the Boulevard Drive-In back in the day.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then we would show old movies. So we like one year we showed Mad Max and The Road Warrior, and like all the artwork would be themed towards that.
Yeah.
But
I used to own that poster art.
Yeah.
The Road Warrior. I had like that full painting for the poster. It was really cool.
I just sold. I had one Subway-sized, marquee poster.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It was the Savage 7, which was an old biker movie.
Yeah.
But those posters, dude, it's taller than the walls in this house.
Yeah.
And then it's like to get that framed, it's like, okay, that's $1,000.
Right.
And then where do I hang this?
Mm-hmm.
And finally I was like, somebody that I knew that bought and sold came over. I was like, dude, I'll sell this to you for a decent enough price because it's just wasting away here.
That movie's great.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah,
that movie's really good.
I had a band and then we named the band the Savage 7 after that. Hellride is basically a sequel to that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Bishop
Dude,
and all that
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love those old biker B movies.
Yeah.
I love like I was telling
Werewolves on Wheels, like one of the best posters.
Werewolves on Wheels,
names of a movie of all time.
Satan's Pilgrims, I always like that one where it's like the dude's helmet, it's like the side of the head. The Jesus Trip that's the weirdest one where these people are all whacked out on LSD and the guy thinks he's Jesus.
Psychomania, the British one. That's a boring movie, but like the imagery is really cool.
Yeah,
like the helmets are cool and stuff.
Yeah, there's like weird like Hell's Angels 69 that's like this weird like heist movie but it's like all the only dudes that aren't Hell's Angels are the two main guys and everyone else is like actually
like even like Easy Rider, like the most famous one or whatever. That's like a really good movie,
dude.
Like it's fun. Is that what it is? Nice.
That's what those are on.
That's so
but
cool.
Dude, Easy Rider, so like it's a weird movie because you ask people like, well, what's it about? And they're like, it's about two guys riding motorcycles.
Right.
Well, like, no, it's about two dudes that smuggled heroin from Mexico, then bought choppers to smuggle the money they just made to go to Florida.
Did you ever see that they're going to do a sequel?
They did. The Ride Back.
What's it called?
The Ride Back.
Is it called The Ride Back?
Yeah, this lawyer that like looks like Peter Fonda bought the rights to the movie and made this sequel. It's horrible. It's like the worst ever.
Yeah, there was a whole thing where like the craziest scripts that were never made, and Easy Rider 2 was one of them. Like,
it got made. Some guy made that. The Ride Back. There's a weird Jason Momoa movie called The Road to Paloma. It's like a biker movie way before he was like. I didn't even know who that dude was. I mean, it's old now, but I've been seeing it pop up on streaming services now, and I'm like, oh man, you guys were sleeping on this dude. Like I watched this back in the day.
Yeah.
But he's like a big motor. There's like a lot of dudes that are like big motorcycle. They're big in the motorcycle community, like Josh Brolin.
Oh, cool.
Norman Reedus. So there's a bunch of like it's like a weird like there's a guy we know up in Iowa, Jeff Wright. He has He's got a bar called Kung Fu Tap and Taco. He used to have this punk club called Harry Mary's. He's got this place called GT Race Car Bar. But he has this company called Church of Choppers. And he has FTW Company, which is like their T-shirt company.
Yeah.
But Jeff's this crazy artist, and he's built bikes. And then like Brad Pitt bought one of them.
Wow.
And he's just this dude from Iowa. You know what I mean? But just loves motorcycles. You know, again, does a lot of stuff just for his community. Cool. You know. But yeah, those old biker movies, you can't beat them.
Yeah.
Even just those movies from that's Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. It's like old car chase movies. Yeah. Like the original Gone in 60 Seconds. It's just that movie's just a whole car chase. The whole movie is just, it's like Bullet. They're just car chases. The whole movie.
Have you seen The Car?
Oh yeah.
That's Satan gets trapped in the car or whatever. Yeah.
And then there's Christine, which is where, you know, the
Guillermo del Toro got that car actually made.
The Christine car. The car. Oh yeah.
The car made. Yeah. It's really cool.
That's a cool thing when they take these like weird abstract deals and make them in real life. Like, you know,
he's awesome. And I also love when people are like, you know, you can kind of sit back and be like, oh, cool, he's a millionaire, but he made the car.
Yeah.
He was like, hey guys, I'm gonna spend a lot of money, just like anyone else would on a fancy car. You know, like I'm gonna get some
car.
Yeah, right, he's like, so. Yeah, because if you see that driving around, it's as like shocking as seeing like a Cybertruck or something driving. You're just like, wow, this is insane. It's like, what is that car?
Or like seeing like the '89 Batman, Batmobile.
Yeah.
Like people get those made. You know, we have a friend,
the Turtles guy, Kevin Eastman. He bought one
of those
back in the day. Yeah,
dude. I would
Batmobile. Yeah, another example of spending your money wisely.
Right, or like if I had the money, I would literally build the turtle van, dude, from the cartoon. Yeah. Like not even
you
like
see those guys
the
pull
toy
up to comic book conventions.
There's
always
that
DeLorean.
stuff.
There's always a Ecto one.
There's always the Supernatural Impala is a big one now.
Yeah.
The DeLoreans, dude. The Back to the Future DeLorean. Yeah. There's a bunch of those. There's this guy in town. He used to build weird movie cars. Like he had the car from Dumb and Dumber, the mutt truck or whatever. He had one of those.
Mutt cuts.
Yeah. And then, but they were always like, his were like the GoBot version of it, where it wasn't quite, it wasn't on screen accurate. You know what I mean? It's like
that's such a diss. That's such a diss to say you're the GoBot version of something.
I don't know.
I like GoBots though.
Yeah.
I had GoBots, and there's a movie called GoBots versus Rock Lords.
Yeah,
and I always thought that was the coolest thing.
I was a Kmart and Venture kid, so we couldn't afford Walmart.
I love
you know
Venture.
What I mean?
Venture was great.
Venture was that was the best.
I was so like I don't like even now like I don't really have an allegiance to a certain like big box store.
Oh
like
no,
Venture, Kmart, they all have their own little thing. Where like Kmart always had a great clearance section.
Yeah.
Venture, I just remember always just finding stuff. Like, yeah, I mean.
Venture was like a weird thing. I think we were pretty young when Venture closed still. Yeah. But I remember they always had shit on sale. But Kmart, till the day they stopped, that was the place to get
Kmart
fucking
like,
toys.
We would go on State Avenue.
Yeah.
On like 78th Street. There was that one. And I remember the last time I was in there. I came back and I was visiting, and a car like exploded in the parking lot. It was just always something crazy.
Yeah, they had the Blockbuster was in the parking lot.
So my grandpa, I just went to see him today. He's in the hospital. He lives across the street, and so Clint's Comics used to be there when I was little. And then across the street, that Blockbuster, I was in all the time.
Yeah,
like all the time. We'd go in. So he had dual VCRs at his place. And so I'd rent all the wrestling tapes and then transfer them. And so I had all the wrestling, like dubs of all the wrestling tapes.
I loved that Blockbuster. I loved the Outer Wall, just finding the weird movies. And the older I got, the more into like, okay, what's not in the movie theater?
Yeah.
But like, dude, when it comes to wrestling, my grandpa had a buddy. He knew a guy.
Yeah.
He had a satellite dish.
Oh, yeah.
Because they lived with us part of the time. My grandparents did. So my grandpa put in this satellite dish.
Yeah.
And then, but we had this box and it unlocked all the channels.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, I got to watch every, like, you know, we didn't have a pot to piss in, but boy, we had bootleg satellite. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember just every Survivor Series, just every WrestleMania. We watched every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And it was just the best, dude.
Yeah, it really was. Like, it was so much fun to do that stuff.
I dig how it's been getting like a little campy lately. I've been going to like local matches the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
It's been cool.
Yeah.
And then like even like the AEW stuff.
I
I've
went to
dug
that
some
in
of that.
Independence like a month ago.
Oh no shit!
Yeah,
How was
they had a
that?
show. It was cool. Yeah, I like AEW. Uh, I haven't went to many WWE. But I went to one called GCW, Game Changer Wrestling in LA, and they had it at this really amazing place called like the Ukrainian Cultural Center.
Oh cool.
And it was insane looking. Like my friend was like, "Don't even look it up." Uh, he's like, Just go and you're gonna love it."
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't even know how you. It looked like a set from like a DW Griffith like Intolerance or something. It was just so ornate and had like gold everywhere, and but then you have a wrestling ring in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's like clearly this wasn't what they expected to be in here, but
right.
But I've seen video where they just do it there. I think it's kind of neat that it's like their home. But yeah, I love wrestling. I'll go to any like I've been to WrestleManias. I've been to a lot of like huge shows, but I enjoy that show just as much. Like maybe in a weird way, like almost more.
Dude, I almost enjoy it. Like when they're, dude, there's nothing better than getting like fully involved at a local wrestling show.
There was a show in Reseda. We drive down, and there was a place that we'd go eat before that was sushi and cheeseburgers, and it was like some of the best sushi I've ever had. And you go to the show, and it was called Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and a lot of the AEW guys would be. It was like the considered like the best wrestling,
right?
Like the tickets would go on sale and they'd sell out immediately because they were super fairly priced. You know, they had a bar. It was at like a just like a bingo hall type of
right Scottish Rites Temple or whatever.
Yeah, it was very small. Like they had like a little bar and they would just have pitchers of beer. So everyone had a giant pitcher of beer in the audience. And it was just so much fun. Like I don't even really drink beer that much, but it was just like, okay, sure, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Like just like but yeah, wrestling for me is like and I love taking people to wrestling. Like whenever possible, if you've never been to wrestling, I'm just like, oh, even if you don't like it, you have to like, it's like so weird.
Yeah,
it's like nothing else like it. Like you go to the NBA, you go to like an NFL game, like this wrestling is so bizarre.
It's so bizarre. I took my buddy Dan from Lucky Boys to a local match a while back, and he was just like got into it immediately.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Doing the claps and the cheers and
because you can go into it and not know a single thing about
yeah,
and you just like
there's this like notorious heel here, Jeremy Wyatt. He's been around forever. There's like some guys that have been around for a long time. Yeah. There's a lot of good wrestling from here. Even back in the day, but I love it. There's Journey Pro was around and that kind of went under, and I don't know what it's called now. Yeah. But they always change names. There's always something.
That was the first. I think that was the first one I went to. It was the AEW show since I've been back in City. So yeah, I'll have to go to some of the smaller ones.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the Scottish Rites Temple that were good, and they're putting good production into it because just like this, right? Like they can film them now and have like Twitch streams and things like that going.
The one that we went to was on it was on pay-per-view. Where like if you wanted to watch it, it's like
I was like, that's cool.
I was like, that's cool. Like it's like on Fight TV or something.
Yeah.
They just have like everyone across the country. Like if you have certain technical capabilities, you can have it streaming.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. Nice.
Yeah, I've been getting into like weird stuff. Like I watch Barstool has that Rough and Rowdy thing, which is just it's like bar boxing basically.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But a little bit more in depth than that. But it just reminds me of when I was in college in Wyoming at this automotive school. They had that in town. And it was like once a month they would do this thing at a place called the Cowboy.
Oh, cool.
And it would always be like tech school kids fighting kids from the University of Wyoming. So it was great. We always there was this one guy that was like a Filipino dude who was like a badass kickboxer.
Yeah.
And he would always go and like that was always our saving grace. So like, okay, if everybody else gets their ass kicked from the tech school, this dude's gonna whoop somebody's ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been watching some of that YouTube boxing stuff, but it's got we watched the what was it? The Logan Paul Dylan Danis fight. It was just like after that, it was like this is all shim sham. This isn't even good boxing.
Oh,
like,
really?
It wasn't even good. It's just like two guys that were just didn't didn't seem like they wanted to hit each other in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
this isn't exciting
No,
anymore.
I haven't watched any of this stuff. I've not like staying away from it, but yeah, just like
it's not
it just
real.
misses me. Yeah,
I like some UFC stuff, but again,
I think it's cool
hard.
that he had like the Pokemon card. He had the Pokemon
Oh
card.
yeah, on his WWE thing. Yeah, he's probably like a way better wrestler now than he was a boxer.
I mean, I don't. It's like whatever, but the matches I've seen with him have been pretty good. And for like literally never doing it, like, and then going and you're on a pay-per-view for WWE, it's like impressive.
Well, I think if you were an athletic person and you stuck with it and you wrestled, he wrestled Greco-Roman, know, and then you go into boxing or fighting, like it seems like you'd be pretty natural to like be able to pick up pro wrestling, you know? Yeah. Because there's so many people that cross over. Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey,
Sure.
Don't just cross over, but like excel at it.
I've really always thought that they're like the best athletes. Like, you think about like what you have to do in like football. It's like very challenging and stuff, but you don't have to necessarily like entertain. Like, you do your job, and then everyone's like, he ran and he did the thing, and that's cool. But you don't have to like put the ball down and then turn and entertain the audience on the microphone and stuff.
Right.
It's just like, not knocking any other sport or whatever, but just pro wrestlers. It's like, wow, you're going for like an hour-long match, and you're just like destroying yourself, like flying through and like going through tables, or it's just like it's really crazy.
Like I always think of that Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels match, like his last match in WWF. Bret Hart, yeah. But that was like one of those crazy like Iron Man matches where it's like, this is like over an hour long. Like the pay-per-view, it was like, it felt like it was going so fast, but then it was like,
and they're like tired and they're in incredible shape. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, I mean, I couldn't. Like, I wrestled for real in high school, and that was like the best shape I've been in probably my entire life, and I was still like, I'm dying.
Nobody has cardio like that. Yeah, it's crazy they have that they do that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It is insane.
Like all like your entire practice, you're like football practices were like cake compared to wrestling. Like wrestling, you're always like throwing someone around or getting thrown.
Yeah, you're going from like doing cardio to like picking people up and slamming them.
It's just
and
like you're doing cardio the entire
up.
time. It's just like how much of it are you doing? And so
I was always a Bret Hart guy back in the day.
Really?
That was my guy. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Canadians, but I really liked him. I was a huge Bret Hart mark.
That's so funny.
I remember like when the Monday Night Wars were going on, like switching back and forth.
Oh yeah.
And that was at a time where like it wasn't cool to like wrestling at all. Like that somebody might beat you up if you like, you couldn't just show up to school with an NWO shirt on because like you might get your ass kicked.
Dude, I was wearing wrestling shirts every day.
Yeah.
I loved wrestling so much. I still, I mean, it was probably even like, okay, do I wear a wizard shirt today or do I wear the wrestling shirt today?
Yeah.
What am I going to wear to this? It's like, it's 50-50.
Dude, we were like so weird. We would play Magic the Gathering at Fisher's Variety.
Was that in Bonner?
Yeah.
So that's where,
that's probably where you bought your wizard shirts at.
My wrestling shirts and stuff. Yeah. Fisher's was crazy. That was a really awesome store. Because that's like you went in the back. Yeah. They had all of the like
the bongs.
They had like a Scarface shirt that said like what was it? It was Tony Montana with like the cocaine, and it said quittings for losers. Or yeah. It was like that type of shirt. I bought a Stone Cold shirt there. Yeah. Absolutely. Fisher. I haven't thought about that in so long.
Dude, he's still in business.
Really? There?
At the Superflea.
Wow.
He's never not been in business. He's still doing it. Wow. Fisher's Variety, still in business. Yeah. Terry Fisher. Shout out to Terry Fisher, man. That dude, like, there was like Triplets House of Cards was there next door. And then Fisher's Variety opened. And then when the card store closed, all the older guys went to Terry and were like, hey, will you start carrying Magic cards? And then will you also let us play Magic here? He's like, yeah, how does this work? And they broke it down to him. So that's just where we played Magic the Gathering at. Dude, like the McGoverns, they would play, dude, I knew so many older cats. So like when we were like 12, 13, they were like high schoolers that we'd play Magic with.
Yeah.
It was just so cool, dude. But it was like very weird to like have your parents, like in hindsight, it's like, yo, our parents took us to like a fucking head shop
Yeah.
and dropped us off
for
all
sure.
the time
Yeah.
to be like,
Yeah, that whole row was like Fisher's, and then I'd buy comics and stuff all the time at the Piggly Wiggly down there, and then across the street we go eat at Red Fortune all the time, that Chinese place.
and there was that video store down there.
Oh, the video store was great. Yeah, I remember picking up a lot of stuff from there. Yeah.
There was a video store up in Bonner by where Brewers Country Mart used to be, next to Walmart. There's Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
And I rented Return of the Jedi so many times that they just bought me my own copy one day. Because it was like an independently owned store. Yeah. But they always had like those books on the counter that was the porn, you know? And you'd be like, what is in these books? I'm like, don't open that book.
Yeah, yeah.
But you'd always see like weird dudes, like your buddy's dad in there, like, what are you doing in that book? And then as you got older, it's like, I saw your dad renting porno the other day.
I saw him in the book.
Like, remember that? People used to rent porno, dude.
In the book. Yeah, they have like the bead rooms.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to go into the room with the beads.
Yeah.
You kids stay out of there.
Yeah.
That's where
I was always like, okay, cool. Like, I don't
it wasn't until later I even knew what the hell was in the book on the counter at that place.
Yeah,
you know?
I was always like a good kid. I'm just like, all right, no problem.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that.
Horror movie and this wrestling tapes. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just take Return of the Jedi again, then, guys. That was me.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times I watched that movie.
I always ran like Thundercats and stuff, like the cartoon tapes.
Yeah, fucking Thundercats was so good, dude. I used to just tape shit off TV so I'd have it. And I had just like one episode of Thundercats. I must have watched that 1,000 times.
And the one that comes to mind for me is like Panthro has a clone. He has like a bad version of himself. And it always freaked me out. It always freaked me out.
I feel like that might have been the tape I had.
Yeah. There's this guy that would drill up through the floor and
do
stuff. And I was just like, oh, this is weird to me. I don't know.
He-Man. I watch a lot of He-Man.
Yeah.
He-Man was excellent. I was telling people, I remember when Power Rangers came out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I came to it was my turn for show and tell. And I had recorded the first episode of Power Rangers off TV. And I took it to school to show everyone. And no one else was into it at all. They were like,
that was a weird time where it was kind of like, oh, Power Rangers for like babies. But I was like so into it. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if you're right. I don't know if that's accurate. But
I was like really in fourth grade when that show aired in America.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I remember having that tape and being like, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, I was like, they're fighting monsters. Yeah.
The figures are still great.
Oh,
like
they still are.
And stuff. Like, yeah.
I liked almost like all the major movies that they made. I thought they were great. I thought the last one was good that they made.
Yeah.
I still mess with it. I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
I still fuck with Star Wars heavy, like all the time. Oh yeah. I love all the new Star Wars shit that's coming out. It's some of it's so weird, like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool to be like a spaghetti western Star Wars show.
Yeah.
I liked Boba Fett. I liked that Ahsoka show I thought that was great. I thought the Obi-Wan show was like really cool.
Yeah.
Cuz it's just like it's all the shit that we were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be so cool if like you know, we could see these guys fight?"
Yeah, I haven't watched Ahsoka. I'm pretty caught up on the rest of like the newer Star Wars things. But I think for me anymore, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, sure.
To see Obi-Wan Kenobi, young Obi-Wan fight Darth Vader, it's like, oh, that's what we were waiting for this one.
Yeah, it's fun because I can like take bits and pieces of things I like out of it, and however the rest of it is, it's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but whatever.
Like, I can like a droid design, or I can like a monster design, or
like,
I love I've like the thing about the original trilogy that I like so much are guys like Phil Tippett and the guys that like made the Rancor and the AT-ATs and stop motion guys. Like I like all that. Like I like the technical, the artistry behind like models and that sort of thing. And it's nice that like Favreau and the guys on The Mandalorian kind of got that. We're like, okay, let's make it like, you know, each episode's its own thing. You don't have to watch it all to get it. It's like you can, and it ties together, but they're also like, let's do the one where he's the gunslinger and there's another the sheriff in town.
Yeah,
like
Timothy Oliphant is the gunslinger, which was excellent.
Yeah.
You know,
we've got a cave monster we have to tackle. It's like that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. This is great. episodic, like very not simple, but like simple for that, like compared to like the new like Force Awakens and those movies where it's just, like,
Yeah.
so much stuff in it. It's like it's nice.
They
to have
added witchcraft, and then now they're trying to like explain all that in the Ahsoka show.
Oh, really?
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like it's kind of cool, but
it's just, I mean, not that it's like losing me, but I'm just kind of like I can like the original trilogy and be like the old man about it and be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not gonna like shit on other people's enjoyment of the new stuff either. So
I liked how
like,
the
whatever.
Boba Fett ended up almost being like it like ends up it's about a biker gang in a weird way, because that's like the spice smugglers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the guys that are robbing them, it's like it got weird, but it was cool, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, also
like I always liked the IG-88 as a character from like the Bounty Hunters and Empire.
Oh yeah.
So to have IG-11, like, and there was like one of the cartoons, I can't remember which one, but they showed like an IG-88 like assassin droid as if what he can really do, and it was like, wow, he really moves around, because he was so stiff in the Empire. He didn't do anything. He was just kind of
he just stood there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that robot, how would he? And then you get the figure, and you're like, how would he even move? And then they show, and it's like, wow, that's really is it like running around like a spider, and he's multi-directional. And, it's just like, oh wow, this is kind of creepy.
Like the Han Solo movie, I thought was really good. You know.
Yeah.
And then Rogue One, that's probably the best out of the newer movies, I think, because it's like it's like a Vietnam War movie or something. It's not, because like also like everybody dies at the end.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like, oh whoa, they've never done this.
Yeah.
They've never had it to where like all the people, like there's always somebody there for hope, you know?
Indoor, wasn't that what
Indoor,
it was called?
that's like the series. That's been really cool
that was
too.
A cool one. I watched
but
that
also because
one,
this guy's gonna die.
Yeah.
Eventually, like
it's like I remember watching them and having an opinion, or this is good or whatever, but I couldn't tell you like anything about it. Like I couldn't be like, my favorite episode was this.
I can't tell you specific. I'll remember like weird parts, like that Timothy Oliphant part was hard to forget, because like. It's just like, oh, this is the guy from Deadwood and Justified. Like,
he's
this
great.
is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
But the rest of it's like, I don't know. I try to not to like hate on stuff either. Like, it's like, I'll just take, like you said, I take the positive that I like out of it.
Yeah. And
then I can be okay with that. I don't need to focus on all the things I don't like.
Yeah. Because there's so much bad stuff, right? Like, that's like,
oh yeah,
or whatever. I'm just like, okay. Like,
I just rewatched the 3 newer movies, and it was just like, there's parts where I'm like,
hang, man.
That's like, oh,
Force Awakens I can do, but Rise of Skywalker, and then
the last
Skywalker,
yeah,
the Last Jedi and Rise
that
of
was
Skywalker.
just like,
really what did it for me was when I remember I couldn't even believe it when like Leia gets blown out of the ship and then she flies back to the ship.
It's like,
I was like, just like, bye.
Yeah.
My mind was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do it. And again, like, it wasn't like that attitude of like, you've ruined my childhood or whatever. I'm just like, I'm good.
It just got ridiculous. They just went too ridiculous.
I'll just, because what I've been really into now is the internet and people, what they do with the original trilogy. There's like a bunch of different versions where they would like. There's like one of my favorites. I remember I had a guy in Austin make me he burned me these Blu-rays, but they're like the despecialized versions where they took all of the stuff out. Like, to where like if you watched it in the theaters in '77, what it'd be like. Then there's one called the Grindhouse cut, where I believe it's someone's just scanned film prints of a used print, and it's just like a beat up copy that you would have seen, like an actual film, like 35 millimeter. I was like, I want to see that. Like,
that's cool.
They did stuff where like it, when you watch like episode 4, it says A New Hope. Like that wasn't in the original one because like, there was no need to name them because there was just going to be this one movie.
Right.
And it's like, wow, this is really popular. Let's do another. Like, kind of the. With a lot of things.
Yeah, it never had the first one. Never had that originally. No, it was always just in a galaxy.
It was like episode 4.
Yeah,
and then it just started. Like I don't think it had all the stuff in it. So, but yeah, it's I like that type of stuff where. Over Halloween, I hadn't seen Ghostbusters in a really long time, and was like, wow, they were just making a movie They weren't worried about like we're gonna have
Not at
we're
all.
gonna have 10 movies and it's gonna have a shared
Dude,
universe or whatever.
the
It was just
best-
kinda like we're just making this thing and oh wow, look at that. We can put the logo on stuff and people will buy it. And
When the best scene in Ghostbusters is when Dan Aykroyd's on the bed.
oh yeah.
And then the ghost unzips his pants, and it's like, as a child, it's like, what is going on here?
I mean, I didn't.
Are you sexing a ghost up,
Yeah,
my
I
guy?
was like 39 before I figured out like what was going on.
Yeah, I was too. But then also, yeah, you rewatch it now, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I didn't hate the new Ghostbusters movie.
Did you see the new trailer where it's like?
I haven't watched it yet. I need to.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's cold.
Yeah.
Ghosts are cold.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
There was always this talk about doing a winter Friday the 13th movie, which I always thought would have been really cool.
Oh, that would be way cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's winter wherever. Like yeah, I could see that. Like there'd be some. I'm sure there's really good visuals with like the blood in the snow and that sort of thing.
I was like Jason Takes Manhattan. That was my favorite.
Really, it was your favorite?
Yeah, it was my
So,
favorite. Because it's just the weirdest one.
Jason
know?
Takes Manhattan. I feel like is one of the biggest. Like you could have made this movie. The idea of that type, like Battle for the Planet of the Apes is another one.
Yeah.
Where it's like wow, just in your mind, what you're seeing has
Right.
It's not even close to what was on screen. Like because Jason's on a boat for like 90% of that movie.
Yeah,
And then he
yeah,
goes into like quote unquote New York, but I think it's like they're in.
It's like a
Canada
restaurant
or
on the
something.
harbor. Yeah.
Like it's just like a back lot, and they have one shot. I think they went and illegally shot in Times Square just to get him in, like so it looked like it, and then yeah. But that was one of those movies for me where I was like, wow, imagine and you're like think about what Jason Takes Manhattan is. What,
Yeah,
he's just like there's people everywhere and he's just destroying them. Like,
Yeah, just
the cops
chopping
come and
them
try
up.
to stop
Yeah.
them and they can't do it. And it's just like that's not the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Jason. What a weird. That guy, the first Jason. Have you ever seen him? He has
Harry
the band.
Lemon. Yeah.
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 That dude's so weird. We've had quite a few we had some late night encounters with that dude when he came. His band played the car show one year. He was wild. That was a long time.
Did you see
ago.
Corey Feldman was at Lemonade Park recently?
I did. I should have went and stood. My favorite thing about Lemonade Park is that like I can just stand in the parking lot across the street if I'm too poor to buy the tickets.
In Kemp Arena or Hy-Vee Arena or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to watch. It's hard to like pay money to see some of these old guys, but like Fear came, which is basically just leaving, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, oh, look at that nice old Jewish man like singing his punk rock still, but he's like shrinking. He's so old, he's like getting smaller, you know.
Oh, yeah,
but it's just like, man, it's hard to watch this 76-year-old guy sing like, you know. He was very. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I love that band. It's like kind of ruins it, right? Like sometimes it ruins it. Like I didn't go see. I haven't seen certain people because like I don't.
A lot of times it's like, what's the appeal? Like that's kind of like okay. You're watching it for him, right? But then like I remember I would work at like the Sandstone Amphitheater. And so there's, obviously I'm like working, so I'm not like there to see Aerosmith or something, which they put on a great show. Actually, it was crazy. I was not expecting them to be good.
Right.
And in person, I was like, wow, you're actually like, you're great performers.
Right.
Like, so there's like respect to that. But then they had, there'd be like a concert where they'd have like Leonard Skinner there. Like, well, they're like not alive anymore. And so
it's like two of them.
Yeah.
Like three of them were original members.
Yeah.
But I've seen that show.
Yeah. And it's like
still awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not really Leonard Skinner.
Right. And I think that's where I'm like, well, like I don't like Kiss at all, but I like love the idea of Kiss, and I like the like stage show spectacle. Like that's I love concerts like that. Like it's probably like why I like wrestling. Where it's like a spectacle. Like so it's like okay, it's partially about the music, but like Alice Cooper's great. Like
I've seen Alex Cooper.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw him open for Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
What a show that was at the arena in Independence.
Yeah.
Like
I remember I went to Wichita one time and saw Alice Cooper, and like Deep Purple opened for him or something.
Oh,
it was like that, but I was just like, I just want to see like the guillotine and you getting your head cut off. And,
he does them all. He does all the sticks still. It's great. Still does it now, someone told me.
Well,
they
actually,
just saw
what
him.
A great way to prolong, like, you think about like punk bands and stuff, it's like a lot of energy. Like a lot of running around and screaming, and you get to be 76 and you probably can't do that anymore. But like Alice Cooper,
But
he
Guar,
twirls a baton and points, and
yeah.
he sings, and he has all this stuff going on around him, and he doesn't look sad, or
That was the first big show I ever went to when I was 15. Like by myself was Guar and the Misfits at the Granada.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'm a lifelong Guar fan because of that. Dude, I've told the story a bajillion times to bajillion people, but we were out front bummed. Me and my buddy Steven Babcock didn't have enough tickets. Steven couldn't get in. We only had 2. There was 3 of us.
Yeah.
Met another kid that was looking for a ticket, and it was sold out. First time the Misfits had played in who knows how many years, right? Yeah. And out front was these 3 adults. They said, "What's wrong with you guys?" We're like kids. And they knew we were kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Well, we wanted to come to the show, and now I don't feel like I should go. I should just sell my tickets and go home." And the guy's like, "Hold on, what's your name?" And it told my name. And this other guy's like, "What's his name?" He's like, "Okay, give me a minute." They walked to the ticket booth, come back, and then he went, "Give me your tickets." And he just whipped his hands up. He's like, 2 tickets, fucking $400 or whatever. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then somebody immediately walked over and goes, "Here you go." And he handed them the money. He handed them tickets, gave me the money. And he said, "I put each of you on the guest list +1.
Whoa.
And I was like,
cool.
"Oh, what is
amazing.
what is your name?" And he's like, "My name's Dave." And then come to find out, it was the lead singer of Guar.
That's cool.
And Dr. Chud, who was the drummer of the Misfits, and Slimenstra Hyman from Guar. So we went in. I immediately, we got in, got this other kid in, bought a bunch of shirts with the money. I had never had a bad experience with those guys. And I met the Misfits years later when I was working for Pipeline.
Yeah.
And like got to tell them about that.
Oh, that's
and they were like the coolest dudes. Like Doyle and Jerry Only were so cool.
Yeah.
So that was always a neat thing. But that guy passed away, the old lead singer at Guar. But they were all like super nice. Like they were down for like, oh, here's like a lot of people would see some kids out front of their own show and be like, "Yeah, fuck this." But it was sold out, and they're like, "No, we're going to make this happen for you." Because we were like, it's our first concert without our parents.
Like, we got to lock these guys in for life.
Yeah, for life. Yeah. Dude, we were covered. I saw photos of it from a disposable. We're all covered in blood.
Then they like spray it.
They spray blood and shit everywhere. It was awesome, dude.
Where was that show at?
The Granada.
Granada, yeah, that's cool.
I saw a lot of shows there.
Yeah.
Fucking Dropkick Murphys, Agnostic Front, Hatebreed.
Do you remember like Memorial Hall?
Oh yeah,
We're there. Yeah.
I went there a few times.
Yeah, I used to work security there too.
Okay.
Like, I was like, they always put me on like the barricade.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
yeah. Obviously,
it makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
But that was cool because I would always be like, do the peek, like looking over my shoulder, watching stuff.
Like watching whoever's there. Yeah. Yeah, I worked for Jeff Fortier. The last year of high school, like the summer before and through part of the year of high school, doing stagehand. The Misfits asked me to go on tour with them after I worked this show with them.
Yeah.
And my parents, it was like 2 weeks before school started. I was gonna be gone 3 weeks. My parents were like, "No way, Jose."
Oh, wow.
Like, God damn it. I was like 17.
Oh, dang.
Like, dude, just let me go. And they were like, "We promise we won't let them do drugs or drink." And they didn't. None of them got fucked up. They partied the last day of their tour, they said.
Oh, that's cool.
But they were like, we keep losing people. They all suck. Like, you work hard. How about you come with us? I'm like,
Yeah.
Just part of me that was like, if I could go back in time, I would just fucking go and be like,
what's a week of school? You know?
Yeah, that's what I said. What's a week of high school? I didn't show up for half of my senior year as it was. You know, I was trying to go to make money working in mechanic shops.
Yeah.
But I've always loved live. Same thing, spectacle. Show me the spectacle. Who's the most spectacular, outrageous stage show, and a band that like puts on costumes, and then it's like Valiant Thor had that thing where they're aliens and they crash landed here, Same thing with Guar, they're from another planet, and they made those DVDs or those those VHSs back in the day. It was always great. Sometimes I like to go back and watch those old Guar movies. If you've never watched them,
I've never watched them, no.
You should go watch them. They're pretty interesting. But all that came from me watching Empire Records as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a scene where this guy eats I didn't know what it was, I just knew he ate this brownie, and I figured it was sugar. Like the sugar made him hallucinate, but it was like a weed brownie, And he eats this weed brownie. He's watching Guar, and they like, the monster comes and they like, "Now you gotta die, Mark," and they throw him in the monster eats him. Oh, it's fucking great, dude.
I did that within that movie Inception. Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Not horribly long ago. You know.
Yeah.
And
I've
it
never
was-
watched that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
It's fun. Like we were in Austin and I was over at this friend's house and we were about to go see it and there was these brownies. He's like, "Oh yeah, if you want to eat them," I'm just like eating them like normal, like brownies.
not realizing.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh shit." So yeah, that was a fun.
We had that happen once.
Specifically fun movie to watch on edibles.
Yeah, a buddy of ours, like in college, this guy was from California. So his grandma or somebody sent him a package, but it was just full of weed cookies.
Really?
So he gave us a bunch, and we went to go to the next town over to Cheyenne to watch this hardcore band play.
Mhm.
And on the way there, I mean, dude, I was clocking in at like 350 pounds back then.
Yeah.
But me and my buddy, like, we brought this the 18. I was 21. We were both 21. Me and this other guy, and we had these two 18-year-olds with us. One of them knew his limit. The other one, like, I must have ate 12 of those cookies.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was fine.
Yeah.
This kid ate one. He never even made it to the show. He's in the parking lot puking. I'm gonna
Oh,
die. We're like, yo, dude,
Wow.
you gotta tough this one out, bro. Because
Yeah.
I came to see this band from Sacramento, and
Yeah.
I'm not leaving. You know.
we'll be back later.
Yeah, we'll be back. We just left him in the car. We're like, we'll be back. You'll be fine.
Take a nap.
That was the weirdest place because there was a dude in a Brooks and Dunn t-shirt, but he had on like the heavy metal guy like belt that
Mhm.
was like the Bullets, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had never seen somebody like hardcore dance more than this dude in this Brooks and Dunn t-shirt in Cheyenne, Wyoming. To this day, that guy's probably still alive in Cheyenne.
Yeah. People always make fun of me because I was like really into like Reba McEntire when I was younger. We didn't listen to.
I mean,
like,
who
I didn't-
wasn't?
I didn't listen to anything in the early '90s other than like country music.
Yeah.
Like that was my parents were just like, we're listening to country music and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool.
I mean, my parents were similar.
Yeah.
They listened to some rock and roll. Like my dad was always a Ted Nugent guy, but
that's so weird too because my dad was that was like the
oh yeah,
that was
I
like
think
the-
our
it was like
parents
Ted
were
Nugent.
yeah.
yeah we had
Yeah.
listened to like God, what was the I don't even know the albums, but like I remember going to like
Ted Nugent. It's
fifth and sixth grade going to like football practice and listening to like
it's probably
the Nugent songs and stuff.
It's probably Ted Nugent one, and it was like a cassette that my dad had. It was double album.
Yeah.
So one side was Ted Nugent, and the other side was Free for All.
Yeah,
And it
Free
was
For All,
like
yeah.
Free for All was probably
Yeah,
the
yeah,
record you were listening
yeah,
to.
yeah.
But dude, that's
It was like the hits. It wasn't like B-side Ted Nugent stuff. It was like the stuff.
well,
like, I was
that
listening
first
to, and, like,
record
oh, yeah.
is just all.
right.
It was all hits. Like they were bangers. Ted Nugent, dude. Ted Nugent fucking rules, and anybody that hates on that guy, hate him all you want, man. But like that dude shreds.
Yeah.
And that album still holds up.
Mhm.
It's still excellent. I love the Nuge.
Yeah.
I finally got to see him. It was so weird, but he's so political, and I hate all that stuff, man. I
Yeah.
really don't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a real contrarian when it comes to politics. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a commie, I'll be a socialist. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like,
yeah.
I'll just to show you that, like, there's no right answer to any
Sure.
of that shit.
Sure.
But dude, watching him, and he just is like the wild shit that comes out of that guy's mouth now. He's talking about, I just had a grandson born. He's 1 year old, and I gave that motherfucker a machine gun, baby. It's like, what? You give a baby a machine gun? Like, can you just play fucking Stranglehold
yeah,
already,
right, yeah,
dude, and shut up? Play
yeah.
Fred Bear, dude, and like,
The song in my head was Stranglehold.
yeah.
That came. I was like, because
Oh,
at the end, like
classic.
the echoey stuff and it slows
Yeah.
down or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dazed and Confused.
Yeah,
That
right,
that's
yeah.
I'm sure that was the one. That was like the movie that made me want to make movies. Was
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. This is real weird. This is just a fucked up movie about people like on the last day of high school,
Yeah.
except for Ben Affleck because he
Yeah.
flunked for the 6th time.
Yeah. That was a Austin movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Wiley Wiggins. The kid with like the longer black hair.
yeah.
He was like a guy and that was like I want to say that was like his only movie he did or something, but
Right.
he was around in Austin.
He was
We
just
were,
an Austin
we were
dude.
like friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was so weird too because he would come to these movies at the theater and there was just like we were kind of like part of the regulars and so we talk and stuff and then one day they're like, you know who he is, right? And I'm like, no. Like he's like the Dazed and Confused kid. Or whatever. I
Yeah.
was just like, what? No way. Like
Yeah, there's like a
he
lot
said
of
Matthew
people.
McConaughey was walking down the street in Austin, and they walked past each other, and he was just kind of like shy about it, like, and he was like, I don't know if he'll remember me, and Matthew McConaughey was just like, Wiley Wiggins.
Yeah.
I just kept walking.
Yeah, because
like,
doesn't he live in Texas now? Doesn't McConaughey live down there? Yeah.
He's
I always remember
like
back in the day,
for like UT and
Yeah,
like,
Elijah Wood was living there back in the day.
Yep.
I went there once. I loved it. I've been there a couple times,
Yeah.
but I fucking loved it down there. It was fun.
I lived there from like 2006 to 2015.
Oh yeah,
That's
so you
great.
were there for some like good years.
Oh yeah.
Before it got too crazy.
Yep.
I went to South
It doesn't
by
look.
there.
It's like unrecognizable now. Like
Yeah.
I went back a couple times. I'm just like, this is so like
Not Austin.
what it like in a weird way. Like, it kind of sort of feels like Austin and Kansas City now. Where
Yeah.
there's stuff. It's strange though, because there's a lot of like I feel like we're trying to like expedite everything, but it's not in like maybe the right ways. Like Austin was like this, keep Austin weird was like the motto.
Right.
And that referred to like people being creative and doing their own thing.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily F1 tracks and that sort of thing. And I feel
Right.
like Kansas City with like, leaning so hard on, and I have no problem with like sports or whatever, but it's just kind of like, oh, we're doing the draft and we're doing this. See, Kansas City can do all this stuff right, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's not. Like,
Meanwhile, yeah,
that's not at all for like the local people.
No.
That's more from a, hey, look at us, rest of country. We're a city too, like a big city, and it's like you don't need to do that. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff here.
They've destroyed the art district.
Yeah.
And they've made it unaffordable now. Like all the cool old small galleries are gone for the most part.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed Westport, and all the music venues are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's no central hub for that. So it's like
that's the keep Austin weird of Kansas City. That's not
right.
gone.
It's all.
And I feel like that stuff's so important. Where it's like the heart, and it's not like something you can necessarily like publicize and promote during an NFL game. Like that sort of thing.
Right, but it's like it's crucial. Westport was crucial to the music scene here.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it's like real shattered. And now we're becoming... Wichita is getting shows that used to come here.
Interesting. No,
so it's like we're becoming a flyover city for tours where people don't even... They're like, yeah, we're not going to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it's like even the car scene's gotten shattered. It's like... what you said is correct, that it's like, ooh, what can we do to get people from out of town, instead of like, hey, how can we lift up the people who already live here and put the spotlight on them nationally? Because that's a thing now. Like, you don't have to... I have a buddy that has like a van magazine. I just talked to him today, and he's been in LA for a long time, and he's from Illinois originally, but he's wanting to move. He's like making moves to get out of LA. And I told him, I was like, just come here, man. And he was like, I'm really thinking about it.
Oh, it's great.
I was like
I mean, it's so like different from the places I've lived, but I feel like if you ever want to go somewhere, it's like the airport's right there.
Yeah.
Or it's like you can drive in the Midwest, like you can go visit places and stuff. So
right.
Like, yeah, there's more than enough stuff here to keep me entertained and happy.
You just, after everything that's happened the last few years, you don't have to be in LA. You don't have to be in Austin to like do shit anymore. Like you can be right here and do.
It kind of seems like if you are here and you haven't like traveled or lived in these other places, there's like that FOMO of like somewhere else is better or the grass is greener, and I don't think that's really the case.
No,
I think it's all about like what you're making of the actual location, and you can, because I find stuff all the time here that I could never find in Austin or Los Angeles. There's an artist named Richard Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
You know him? He is he's like one of the best, like, you can call him underground comic artists, but he was from here. Like, he lived in Kansas City.
Right.
And he had this quote in his like one of his like art books, but he kind of wrote stuff in the intro, and he said, Kansas City, it's a place to live.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it maybe seems like flippant or something about it, but I was like, no, that actually is like a really good way to put it.
It
It's
is.
like it's a place to live, and it's a totally fine place to live. It's not like overly flashy or whatever. But I've never had like, I think there's probably that time when you're in high school and you're like, oh, I don't know, like I want to go somewhere else, but then
Yeah.
you go to like Warrensburg. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like to play football.
I went to Knoxville and then I came back, and I went to Wyoming and I came back, and every time I went all over the whole West Coast, the whole western side of the country in a van with my buddies one summer or one fall on a tour for a couple weeks, and then it was like after I saw it, I wanted nothing more than to go to Los Angeles forever to SoCal. I wanted to be in SoCal. I was rockabilly as hell. I wanted to live it up, and then I got there finally. And I was like, oh, this is not at all what I thought. This isn't what I thought it was at all.
Yeah.
And I ended up liking San Francisco more than anywhere, but I never would want to live there.
Oh,
I got to experience it.
I love going to visit. I'm going to go in December again for a convention. I love going to visit places. I think that like Austin used to be kind of a slower vibe, like a lot like Kansas City is. There's interesting stuff to do, and so when I'd go to travel, like you do LA or you go to New York for meetings or something, and when I'd come back to Austin, it was like, this is home.
Yeah,
and it felt like comfortable, and and at just one point, the feeling of being in LA and going back to Austin, it never felt different because Austin was so like hyper, and there's all. South by Southwest got so huge, and it kind of like there was a year where it just got too big, and Lady Gaga was playing in a Doritos bag.
Oh my God.
It was like a concert. It was like a giant Doritos bag, and everyone was just kind of like, nah, it's over, like it's done.
It's too corporate now.
No, absolutely, yeah. So like a lot of that, it became like, this is the cool. Oh my God, like I would be coming back on flights during Southwest, and you would see like the people boarding from LA or something, and it'd be like they'd all have brand new cowboy hats on. It was just like basically like Austin cosplay.
Yeah,
we're going to
If you go to Wyoming, everyone looks like they're from the show Yellowstone. Like literally northern Colorado and Wyoming,
free Western
or they got the black shirt on and the hat, and they got their draw out with the beard. It's like, dude,
funny.
Give it up, man.
Yeah.
Well, where can everybody find your stuff at online?
I have a website. It's just my name, justinishmael.com. And then I'm on Instagram, same name, Justin Ishmael. Those are my two.
And you just did the Ninja Turtle figures.
Yep.
That's the newest thing.
Ninja Turtle stuff. We might have probably a Star Wars poster here not too long.
Oh, cool.
We're finishing that up.
I like those posters. That is like our childhood, right?
Yeah.
That was like the poster.
Yeah.
So I saw all those. I was like, these are sick.
Yeah. Like, so it's just I'm trying to keep it interesting. Releasing comic books. We did a Turtles comic recently. It's like the 40th anniversary of Turtles existing, which is funny because, like you said, like you're like almost 40 and stuff. So I was born in '84, so that's the same turtle year. So I'm like, oh, cool. We're both 40 this year. Next year. So, but yeah,
we're as old as Ninja Turtles, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's same. Crazy.
Yeah,
it's that's one thing that's amazed me how popular it's always been and remains to be more so than ever now.
Yep.
I was like, it's one of those where you're like, shit, I wish I had all those Turtles toys that I had when I was a kid,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they're so
I could
good.
maybe trade those for a piece of Frazetta art. One day, I will get that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then you're on Instagram.
Yep.
Same thing, just your name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, Justin, dude, so stoked to talk to you.
Yeah,
thanks for coming over.
Appreciate it.
So small world that we grew up like literal miles away from each other. But yeah, man, thanks to Bill,
thank you.
Bachelor's Laundry Company, old Bill Emerson, Big Bill. But yeah, dude, thanks for being on. And we'll see you guys. Go follow Justin, like and subscribe. Go buy some of the shit so he can keep making cool stuff for us.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks so much, man. Thank you.